right back at it in the book of Numbers, looking at more rebellion of God's people. So we saw that 2 videos ago, the rebellion. We saw last video, God's response. And now we're going to have more rebellion, more rebellion, more rebellion. And here, it takes a slightly different form because there's different people that are specifically rebelling. So chapter 16 starts with, Now Korah, the son of Izhar, son of Kohath, son of Levi, and Dathan and Abiram, the sons of Eliab, and On, the son of Peleth, sons of Reuben, took men. And so these people are the ones who are leading the rebellion this time. So this is a new group that's starting it off. Now, of course, all the nation kind of gets in on it most of the times here, but they're the ones starting it off. Who are these people? Now, if Korah is of the Kohathites, he's the son of Kohath, of the son of Levi, so he is a Levite. Specifically, he's with the Kohathites. That's the group, the most special of the 3 groups of Levites that helped out the priests. He would be one of the ones who would carry something like the Ark of the Covenant, or the table, or the incense altar, things like that. These different things are what the Kohathites brought. So they had kind of like the best job in the sense of how special it was outside of the priesthood. But so you had this Levite, and then you had these guys from Reuben. What's Reuben's deal? Well, remember, if we know about the tribes and we know where they came from and those brothers that began these tribes, Reuben was the firstborn. But Reuben didn't ever end up being in a leadership kind of position, and that's from what he did way back in Genesis. And his father, when prophesying and giving blessings to his kids as he was about to die, he said, Reuben, you didn't make the cut, basically. Reuben's not in a leadership position really at any point that I'm aware of. You have Judah, certainly is. He's prophesied that kings will come from him. You have Ephraim, who is particularly blessed from Joseph. Joseph was the one who saved all of his brothers back in Genesis, and great stories there. So much to point to Jesus. You should check those videos out if you haven't seen them yet. I'll link those below. But you have from Joseph and him being the leader at the time, and Ephraim being the one who was blessed. He wasn't the firstborn, but blessed as the firstborn. So those 2 tribes. And that's where we got Joshua and Caleb from, those 2 tribes. And then also Benjamin, we'll see later on, kind of takes a leading role in some ways. Saul, the first king of Israel, he's from the tribe of Benjamin. So you have some tribes that are more leadership tribes, but none of them are the firstborn. And, these guys from Reuben, they may feel like, hey, we should be in charge because we're from the firstborn. And then you have this guy who's a Levite, but not a priest. He's not part of Aaron's family. He's not specifically that. And so they kind of have this 2-pronged attack against God's true leadership. Because Korah says, hey, I don't think Aaron is all that special. All the Levites are special. We should all get to be priests, right? So he's trying to expand the priesthood and say, I want to be in too, right? Now, these other guys are saying, Moses, who do you think you are to be in charge of us? Of course, we know the answer to that, but they wanted to be in charge. So we kind of have these 2 parallel rebellions going on at once. So these guys, and they get all these other people too, right? In verse 2, and they rose up before Moses with a number of the people of Israel, 250 chiefs of the congregation, chosen from the assembly, well-known men. So they really got everyone in on this to rebel against the leadership of Aaron and the priesthood that he was leading, and Moses and being the leader of all the people. So God responds to this in 2 ways. First, we've got Korah, and what does Moses say? How does he respond to this? He says, you know what? You guys think you should be priests? You guys think this is illegitimate for Aaron to be there? How about y'all go get some censers, and give get some incense, put it in the censer, and then you go over with this incense in the censer and light it up and bring that before God. Why don't you do that? And Aaron will do that too, and we'll see how that turns out for you. Because that may sound familiar to you, I can link below. We talked about this in Leviticus chapters 8 through 10, what happened there. In chapter 10, the actual legitimate priests, Aaron's sons, they went and brought unauthorized fire, or essentially doing the same thing before God, and boom, roasted. Okay? That was legitimate priests doing things the way God said not to do them. So what's going to happen with these guys? Well, Korah thinks no problem. So he and all his buds, they go over there. And this is not the Reubenites. This is him and some other people that were presumably Levites that all go there to do that. And guess what? They get roasted. Same thing, same result. So they did the same thing and they got the same result. And so God showed very clearly, no. Aaron's my guy. Not that Aaron's perfect or Aaron's so great or something, but he has selected Aaron, and so they need to respect that. What do we got with the Reubenites? Well, Moses said, okay, we'll come over here and let's address this. And they're like, we're not coming over there. We're going to stay right here at our tent. And so Moses goes over and says, okay, well, all right, you guys think that, y'all should be in charge. Well, if I am illegitimate, then you guys, nothing will happen to you. But if this is an illegitimate rebellion, then you're not going to die in a normal way. All right? So let's go look at what happens there. So this is still part of chapter 16 here. But it says in chapter 16, verse 30, but if Yahweh creates something new, and the ground opens its mouth and swallows them up with all that belongs to them, and they go down alive into Sheol, then you shall know that these men have despised Yahweh. And as soon as he had finished speaking all these words, the ground under them split apart, and the earth opened its mouth and swallowed them up, with their households and all the people who belonged to Korah and all their goods. So they and all that belonged to them went down alive into Sheol. So that's down into the earth. And the earth closed over them, and they perished from the midst of the assembly. And now, it's at that time when it says fire came out from Yahweh and consumed the 250 men offering the incense. So God destroys them all. They say, we're going to rebel against God, and God says, have fun with that. And they're destroyed. So this is, they're saying we're not going to follow God, we're not going to follow his established leaders, and they get judged for that. Now, you might think at this point that the rest of the nation would see this and say, yeah, maybe we should stop this whole rebellion thing. It doesn't seem to be getting us anywhere, and actually we keep complaining that we're going to die, and the rebellion is what's killing us, right? So the people who haven't been rebelling, they're still alive. Joshua, Caleb, Moses, Aaron. The people who keep rebelling against God and saying, we're rebelling because, this is not going to end well if we don't rebel, essentially, is kind of their argument. You guys are leading us to death. It's like, well, you guys are just actually walking right into it yourselves. But they don't get it. Because verse 41 says, but on the next day, all the congregation of the people of Israel grumbled against Moses and Aaron, saying, you have killed the people of Yahweh. Now, how do these people die again? You remember, how do they die? Did Moses do this? No, this is clearly God doing this. Yahweh is the one who sent fire out to destroy those people that were Levites, but not priests, and were trying to claim they could be priests. He's the one who, opened up the earth to destroy these Reubenites who were rebelling. And so here, they still, though, they rebel again. And so what happens? The Israelites rebelling against Moses and Aaron again, and now a plague comes. So we just keep having this process go over and over again. And so they rebel, a plague happens, and guess what? Aaron then takes a censer and incense, and he intervenes. And when he does his priestly duty, then the plague stops. Showing again, Aaron's the guy that's supposed to be in this position. But God doesn't end it there. He actually gives them miraculously another sign, which is really great. This is not one that ends with everyone having a plague or something like that. This is actually, maybe you could say this is even almost like preemptive, like, let me show you again, just so that we don't have this issue again. So Moses says, God's told him to do this, and Moses says, hey, everybody go get a stick, right? Like, go get a staff. And this word for staff is actually, interestingly, in Hebrew, it can mean either staff or tribe. So the staff, which represents the tribe, everyone gets their staff, one for each tribe, hands it over to Moses, and they put it away until the next day. And the next day, when they pull them all out, Aaron's staff, the one for the Levites, it's budded and blossomed and has almonds growing on it. Now, that's obviously not a normal thing. That's not something where Moses could have just, stuck a couple almonds on there or something like that and convinced people. This showed that Levites were the ones that had this particular priestly role. Aaron's line had this particular priestly role. Nobody else. Nobody else's staff budded. It was from his tribe. It's from Levi, from that tribe. So that actually ends up getting put in the Ark of the Covenant. So that's one of the few things that's in the Ark of the Covenant, and so that stays there. And so that's a visual reminder as they see that before he puts it away, that this is God's selection right here. Right? And so now we're going to go into chapters 18 and 19, where we see, again, God's response. Thank you for watching that video. I hope that it helped you learn a little bit more about the Bible today. And if you'd like to continue to learn more about the Bible, then we have plenty of other videos on the channel. And if this has been helpful for you, then you can always let me know by subscribing to the channel. And hopefully I'll be able to continue to help you learn even more about God's Word. Thanks.